Deven Choksey of KRChoksey is joining in to give us his view. Deven, any thoughts on Granules? The management is sounding optimistic, but the stock has been under quite a bit of pressure. Last 6 months, the stock is down in excess of 20%. What do you do now?
Good morning, Sonia. Well, I think the important part, which I think the management also explained, they have been successful in arresting the kind of a fall in the prices. At the same time, I think bring up some amount of recovery into the margins, and as a result of which, I think that is what is getting reflected also in the current quarter's result. So obviously, I think there is a reason to smile for a fact that I think the situation is turning better for the company per se, which is also the case, I believe, I think with many of the other pharmaceutical companies. In last 6 months or 9 months, I think due to the high cost pressures, I think most of them have one way or the other suffered, I think, on the margins. I believe, I think that situation is now coming to some kind of a control. May not be seen immediately in one quarter unless I think the pipeline inventory gets cleared for many of them. But I would like to believe that I think with the cost remaining under control, I think you should be seeing relatively better margins. Particularly for granules, I think the contribution from API segment, I think, remains on a very high side, I think at around 30% plus, which possibly also, I think, is the result for which I believe that the company should be in a position to perform relatively better in the coming year with the stable margins.
Hi, Deven. Good morning. Deven, what about JSPL? Those are one of the disappointing numbers. I'm not talking about Bharti Airtel because we'll have an analyst who will be joining in just a bit. But JSPL, the numbers were disappointing. Valuation-wise, well, it has some bit of comfort. How do you approach the stock at around 560 rupees?
Well, I think we don't have much view on this particular commodity segment, so would refrain from putting across view at this point of time.
Right. From the housing finance space, LIC Housing Finance, they came out with a set of numbers. The numbers looked mixed. What was positive was the NIMs. But the sector has been doing so well, you're expecting better growth, right, from the housing finance company. Your view?
Well, I think those housing finance companies who have basically higher amount of concentration onto mid-tier to the high end of the housing finance business, probably or the real estate, I think that they are funding also at the same time. I believe that I think they would be relatively in a better position compared to typically a low margin segment. Low margin segment would block the volume growth, definitely for sure. No. But I don't know, I think, whether they would be having enough amount of margin comfort coming up at the same time. So we stay comfortable more with the likes of HDFC and even for that matter, Bajaj Finance, who is a subsidiary in form of Bajaj Housing Finance. These are the companies where we remain relatively more comfortable as far as outlook on the housing finance business is concerned.
Okay, all right, Deven, stay with us. More stocks coming your way in just a bit. We want your thoughts on Credit Access as well, which reported a solid set of results once again.